So it's just me, Mass, talk about Conquest while I paint. What am I painting? I am doing all the basing on 30 stands of Cav, and I got 13 of my horses that I got to put technical paint on. But right now we're literally just going to smear corn red all over 30 stands, and that's where I'm starting. What is this? That's, maybe some people are asking. This isn't normal Bonktable, it's just Mass talking. So, my work life has changed. I am swapping from 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, to 2 weeks on, 1 week off. What happened? Got laid off at work. It happens. Kind of sucked, but, gotta roll with the punches and keep going. So, got a new job, got a new schedule, and I know what I'm doing. What does that mean for Bonktable? Less bow reports, less podcasts, kind of just less stuff as go forward. Like, there's still going to be Bonktable content, still plan to go to Adepticon, still doing all that. Then what is this? I don't know what I'm going to name this yet. Maybe it's just going to be Mass Ramblings, maybe it's going to be whatever, but what this really is just me chatting about Conquest, the game, things I want to chat about. Maybe similar in style to Apex Chinchilla's Wadroon Talks. I might just deep dive into 100K. I don't really look at stuff because right now I'm painting and I kind of have to get all this done for Adepticon. So I didn't really pick a topic, to be honest. This was kind of like, I'm just doing it. I think the best place to start is really maybe why I play Conquest. And so I've kind of told the story of how I got into Conquest, and that was kind of like I saw it on the shelves. COVID was happening. It looked really interesting. I liked the look of the artwork on the boxes. I looked at the minis. Seemed kind of fun. Was curious. That was really it. Because, you got to kind of judge it by its cover. Like, everyone says, like, oh, don't judge a book by its cover. But I'm like, man, judging a book by its cover has really gotten me far in life. Like, there's a lot of books that just have good covers, and they're just good books. It's very rare that I grab a book with a bad cover. I wouldn't say a bad cover, but a good cover, and read it and go, wow, this is really bad. The only books that I can really remember where I had to stop reading it because it was bad and I didn't like it was Ed Green's Elmeister? I think Elmeister? It's the big-ass wizard from Forgotten Realms, the guy who's like, I'm old, I'm in love with the magic god, blah, blah, blah. I made the Harpers, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I read, I want to say like 2 of his books, and I just couldn't do it. I was like, my God, this is bad. I'm not entertained. I'm not interested in. This isn't like crazy powerful wizard man. Like, there was all these stories of how crazy powerful this guy was, but like in the first 2 books, they never show how crazy powerful he is, or maybe third. It's all just like him wandering around being like, oh, you can't just solve all your problems with magic. It's like, you are the wizard. Fucking wizard, damn it. I want to see cool spells go off. Like, cool wizard battles, defeating devils and gods and stuff. Like, there's other cooler characters doing cooler things than you. Disappointed. So yeah, Conquest. I totally judged it by its cover. Liked it. Summer of, 2022? Yeah, let's go with that one. No, maybe spring. Spring of 2022. Talked to a local at the game store who was kind of running it, thinking of getting everyone together to play it. He gave me a demo. I liked it. Got into the game. Went with 100 Kingdoms because it's the one I liked. The options at the time was like Wadroon, Dweg, Nords, 100K. I think Old Dominion. Oh, there's Spires. Old Dominion was just coming out, was kind of like the big thing. So they were kind of getting some things. And this was back in probably like the 1.0 was it 1.51 days. So the game was much different than it is now after the February update of February 12th. Everything officially came out with. We have an actual podcast about that. Should be out before this one, so you can go check that one out. But yeah, I looked at the different factions. I played dwarves and mercenaries and War Machine. Like, I'm a huge War Machine guy. And War Machine died up after COVID was over, so I needed something else to do. Thought I was going to play this game casually, not go super hard into it. Found out that was a lie. And I picked 100k. So, why did I pick 100k? Well, as I said, dwarves. Already played dwarves in War Machine. Didn't want to play dwarves again. Wadroon, orcs riding dinosaurs looks cool as all hell. Kind of wasn't my thing. Spires was too weird. Not that weird of a guy to go for Spires. Nords kind of interest me. I like the giants, like the Jotnars, especially the ice guy. Liked the conning gear. Liked kind of the bow chosen and the trolls. Then there werewolves were coming down the line. It's all kind of sound good to me. Who else is there? Talked about Nords, talked about Dwag, talked about Spires. Old Dominion I probably wasn't due. They were too undead. Like, I don't mind undead factions. I just like clean metal. It's kind of the big thing there. And so I sat down and went with 100k. So 100k really grabbed me because it was the horses looked cool and the Steel Legion looked cool. And once I figured out that you could run a list like that, I was really sold. So my first game I ever played, I think it was 1,000 points. I had a box of Gilded Legion, box of Steel Legion. I think I had I had one Merc Crossbow, 2 units of Militia, Mounted Noble Lord with Household Knights. So that was really good. And I kind of ran that. And maybe Manars were in there. It was like 1,000 points. Like, it was just like MSU spam at 1,000 points because you're not really doing huge bricks with that. But I played it when my game was like, okay, sweet, this is pretty fun. I liked alternating activations. That's another thing. Like, War Machine was very, you go, I go, and you do all your stuff. You pop off all your combos. You do all these things, and then your opponent does all their stuff, does all their things. So you kind of have to get ready to get hit if someone gets the alpha off on you. That's the concept of someone hitting you before you get to hit them. Whoever gets the alpha, especially at lower points games, tends to win. This also kind of is the problem with lower points games, is that you don't have enough stuff kind of around to absorb a blow if you just lose something to something really strong early on. But Conquest mitigates that a bunch by having the alternating activations, keeps both players in, what a lot of people like, myself included. I didn't know how I was going to like it, but as I played some Kill Team and as I played some more Conquest, I've been enjoying it fairly amount more than You Go, I Do Go. I don't mind either system, but I'm probably leaning more nowadays to alternating activations, and I really do like that. So, yeah. Maybe I'm just talking about why I like this game. That'll be the first episode, the rambles. Alternating activations. Really, really good thing about Conquest. Keeps both players engaged. Pretty sure I've already mentioned that, but can't be bad to reinstate it. If you say it enough times, people kind of sink in and get the idea. But having both players like engaged the entire time, and if someone's deciding how to do something, your turn to do something to keep you engaged is not far off if they're taking a little while longer. There's been times with War Machine where I've had a 4-hour game and I only played 1 hour of it. It really sucks. Conquest, you don't have that problem. There may be a turn where you don't do anything for 10 minutes, but I don't know, just kind of let your opponent do their thing. They'll eventually figure it out and get the game going. If it's a real serious problem, don't play that guy at your local store. If it's like a tournament, grab a TO. Like, it's really funny with tournaments. It's like, if there's anything that you're not liking in a tournament and you're kind of just like putting up with it because you don't want to be like a dick to some random guy you met, just grab a TO. It'll just help you so much not having to deal with some guy being a weirdo. Like I've had people in tournaments try and ask me questions on my clock. I know Conquest isn't really played with a clock, but clock is just, you're playing on a chess clock. Like, you're slapping it back and forth. So people start asking me questions on my time, and it's kind of a no-go because it's my time to do my things, not my time for you to ask your questions. So you kind of learn after a while to just start swapping the clock back to your opponent every time they start doing anything like that. They're rolling dice, you slap their clock back. They ask questions, you slap their clock back, because it's their time, their questions, all that stuff. Game has an app. You can go, if you're looking for, like, oh, what does that do? You got the app. You probably have your opponent's list. They can probably give you a name. You can go look it up and read about it so you can develop a strategy to beat it while your opponent's doing stuff. Yeah, that's kind of a big one. But alternating activations, like them. Art style in the game. I do like the art style of Conquest. Like, it's this kind of like gritty grudge. I don't say it's grudge or grim. Like, it's a bit gritty, but it also has a bit of that style that you see in Castlevania and Final Fantasy games. So it's a very artistic style with these edges. I know it's by this one person who does them. I don't know their name. They're Japanese, but if you ever look at like Castlevania art or Final Fantasy art, especially for like the title screens, like Final Fantasy 1, 2, 3, Castlevania, whatever, Sympathy of the Night, like that art style, Conquest has a bit of it, and it's a bit darker, a bit more gritty, but it really, really ties in very well with it and what it's trying to be, because the game itself, everything dies very quickly in it to horrible monsters, and you see that a lot, especially when you have 100k fighting someone else. You just see them like dying to horrible monsters, and you're just like, oh my god, like what is happening? Who's doing what? Like, I hope someone lives here. No one's living. And yeah, you kind of go in like that. So the art style really grabbed me, and one of the things I like about the game is that, and that's kind of the best way I could say that about it. Another good thing about the game that I really like is actually the lore, and I've listened to Stravos on the happy hours talk about lore, and one of the funnier questions that keeps coming up is where is the Force-Grown Jones butthole? And his only reply is, it's not where you think it is. Or is it umbilical cords? I don't know. Or if they have belly buttons. Either way, it's like, do they have buttholes or do they have umbilical cords? But umbilical cords, I guess belly buttons. But it's not where you think it is. So, like, the joke is now that all the Force-Grown Drones have buttholes or belly buttons on top of their heads, kind of thing, like underneath their hats or whatever. But, the nice thing I think about the lore and the style of the game itself is that it's really rooted in a sort of realism. Like, the devs themselves have mentioned that you can't just straight away pull someone out of realism. Like, if you have it grounded, your game is grounded in realism, it works much better getting people to join it. Like, I guess the best one is, like, if you look at it, what is it? Warcraft 1 and 2, humans versus orcs. Not everyone, but, a lot of people have read it's Lord of the Rings. People have a good idea what an orc is. Just a big green guy, a little more aggressive. Okay, I could fight a big green guy. I'd probably get the shit kicked out of me, but, big green guy. Everyone knows what a human is. Everyone, base fantasy stuff. So, in Conquest, when you see regular humans, regular knights, a lot of medieval era stuff, and then you start seeing Vikings from Nords, and you're like, okay, yeah, Vikings were a real thing. Yeah, I can get on to that. Oh, werewolves in the Viking faction. Like, oh, you know what? That's a fantasy thing. I'm totally down with that. Oh, it's in the Viking faction? Yeah, I can see that. There's always like berserkers who are like roaring out because they're just freaking out because they're so berserking and all that stuff. Like, they tie themselves well together. Their aesthetic is very clean and nice. I really like that about Conquest. Whenever you see a faction, it's very distinct of who it is, what it is. It's not like, I want to say like right before World War One, where everyone was, all the European powers are like fighting before World War One. There's an era of peace before World War One. There were some minor fights, but all their uniforms kind of look the same. They're all in kind of like Brits were red, Germans were that like darkish brown, French were this light blue. I'm just pulling this off the top of my head, but like everyone looked the same. No one was like super distinct. And then as World War went on, everyone became kind of looking the same with patches of what they were, like what side they were on, because you're not going to wear your bright ass uniform to dignify who you are out there. So even before that, everyone might be wearing kind of something, a really rough similar uniform, because of the colors they were distinct, so that who was who and who everyone was. While World War One showed up and everyone started wearing different uniforms and gear as the war progressed. In Conquest, you see that distinction between factions, what really holds up, especially the human factions, like City States Nords, 100K, Sorcerer Kings, I guess Dogs of War. Dogs of War is a Merc faction, but we're probably not going to talk about them much. They're all very distinct, even though they are all just human. Like, Bronze Age human looks very different from medieval human. Viking human looks very different from Sorcerer King's human. Like, they get their aesthetic down very well, and that's another good thing I like about Conquest. The distinction of factions and what they're doing. Even Dwag, just everyone's like, I'm like a weird potato ripped bodybuilder running around doing stuff. That's what they all remind me of. Another thing I like about Conquest. Majority of the minis are plastic. They are all in sprues, so you kind of pop them out. I have had no parts problems since I've started playing. Everything I've ordered, everything I built, it's been good. Not a huge amount of finicky parts. There have been sometimes building some kits have been annoying, especially Household Guard, Gilded Legion, a little bit of the Steel Legion, stuff like that. They've been kind of annoying. Usually because it's like the 3-point contact thing when you're building spears or guys holding spears. They're grabbing with both arms onto the spear shaft, and then you got to like get their arms glued in the right spot. But if it's hardened, you can't make the connection look right. Oh, it's just a pain in the ass. I just use green stuff. I just green stuff everything together. I plop some glue down, like a drop here, where all the joints and connectors are. Let it sit there. It's done. That's really how I do it. So everyone's, touching everything and doesn't look terrible when you're trying to put it together. So yeah. Another thing is, like, with Conquest, is that, especially with the model kits themselves, I do like the models. There's been complaints that the older models are kind of rough, but I don't mind that per se. Yeah, some of the older models are rough, but their newer stuff, like every time they come out with a faction or new minis, they all look great. They've really put the work in to engineer them to work well, like as you build them. What I love a lot. Nope, getting fucking around here. Cool. There we go. Pardon me. So yeah, like the sprues I find are pretty good. Like coming from War Machine, it's really funny. I built some GW stuff. I've built like Warhammer Fantasy GW stuff. What's kind of the roughest stuff you would find, like old Warhammer Fantasy. I want to say lately, there's probably rougher. Like if you ever go and find some old Hammer stuff, what's just, I guess, shit made in the 90s to late 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. And that's actually a lot of what Warhammer Fantasy is like using. Like Old World is still using that. They've updated some kits, great, but their older stuff was rough. Like the metal horses for Chaos Knights. Oh my god, those are some of the worst guys I've ever built in my life. However, War Machine lot of their older kits were metal, and they sucked ass, to be honest. I have some jacks that are literally just, you can beat another man to death if you put in a sock. Not that great. Throw that there, get my next tool, find out my next paint, there we go. Get all this basing done, be sweet and done. So yeah, I do like their kits. The only kits that I really have problems with are their older stuff, but they're not that bad per se. Like early Dwag, I know has some issues. Like I know Hold Thanes, Hold Warriors, I think Fireforge are terrible to build. Their bodies are just weird. I built some of those. But like early stuff, Men at Arms, Militia, they're just like a torso, legs, and arms and head. Like it slaps together super easy. You don't have to work for it. You're not like having huge gaps. They all kind of just like fit together and do their thing, and you're just done with it. And you're like blah blah blah. Do they look good? Honestly, no. Do they look competent enough for the setting? Yes, they do. I don't mind that one bit. Does the newer stuff look way better? Oh yeah, easy. Like Hellsoul Knight is like I got Hellsoul Knights, Mountain Squires. I think Mountain Squires came after Hellsoul Knights. Hellsoul Knights really stand up and out, even to this day. Mountain Squires do well. I got Sealed Temple, look fantastic. Crimson Towers, that is a beautiful model. Ash and Dawn, they are super busy. I will be 100% honest with them. They are very busy as a model, and if you're wondering what that means, it's just they got a lot of stuff, a lot of straps, a lot of bells and whistles going on where there's too much kind of assaulting you to look at to really be like, I can see the detail in that, because there's just so much detail it gets crowded together. There we go. So yeah. I have seen from Old Dominion, like their minis being put together really good. It's really funny. So from War Machine to GW to Conquest, well, War Machine GW back to War Machine to Conquest. War Machine minis putting together some of the worst I've ever had to do. Anyone who's built Nest Hunters, it's easier to glue that mini in parts onto the base and paint it than it is to actually form that mini. For GW stuff, besides Old World, like old Warhammer Fantasy stuff, it's really good. I've had no issues with GW minis. Snap Fit is super sweet. I always want to say, like, I'm not a huge fan of 40K or Age of Sigmar, like the game itself. But if they ever made minis for a game that I was playing that I did enjoy, that is like the level of quality. Like GW minis is probably some of the top end quality that I have seen or done. That might not mean much to some people who are way more into the minis world than I am, but for someone who's like plays only so many amount of games, doesn't move between systems, or I guess not systems, but like games that much from different companies, I still praise GW for their mini quality. Not Forge World. You might as well break your fingers before you get some Forge World. But the regular stuff you can buy in the store, it's great. Conquest minis though, lately, so Sealed Temple, Crimson Tower, Ash and Dawn, I would say those guys are on par to GW for the sprues coming out of GW for stuff. Maybe not like more recent stuff, because I haven't really opened it up to have a look, but stuff probably around like 2014 to like 2020-ish maybe. I couldn't really give you a good answer on that one, but that's how I feel about it in my feelings. Yeah, and they're just, I like them. They fit together really well. They're not hard. Like the only times I had to use green stuff on the Sealed Temple that I built a couple days ago was the feet of the horse to the base, because one of them kept leaning over and I decided I didn't want to deal with that the entire time. And a little bit of green stuff on the shield to the arm, because I'm not holding the shield. The guy can hold the green stuff can hold the shield for me. And sometimes in the joints between the arm and the shoulder. Sometimes. Not all of them need it, but some of them did. So, and that's usually my standard, is how much green stuff did I use to get the mini glued together and fit. And the less is kind of shows you how good it is. All right, let's slap some of the... Okay. Slap some of this on. I said... Pot worked for me. Nope, okay. Okay, there we go. Pot worked. Let me base these bases. Base that base. Base that base. Whee. Yeah, that's all I'm doing. This is why I'm also doing this talk now, because I am just smearing paint play. I'm getting more paint on my fingers. Fuck. Alright, so anyway, that's another reason why I like the game. Sprues just go together really well. Not hard. And they look good. What can I say? From a guy who played Mark II and 3 War Machine, looking at Mark IV's 3D printed stuff, there's too many snaps in those minis. There's too many breakages. You got to go call privateer press like support to go get your minis fixed. Like, man, I don't want to call the company that makes these things to go fix stuff in their sprues, and it like happens all the time. Like when people say, "Oh, I only had 4 or like 2 breaks in a box," it's kind of like nice. I have had 0 since I have bought any Parabellum or GW kit. Like that's not a good standard. Like having no breaks at all, not having to use the parts replacement is a good standard to have. Yes, you want it because shit does happen, but the less you use it means that you guys are doing a good job. There you go. What else do I like about this game? I like the strategy about it. So, when I was a little kid, my father played a lot of strategy games, and then as I got a little older, he'd be like, "Here, play this strategy game." And I'd be like, "Oh, this is amazing." And I discovered Warcraft 3, so you know how this went. So I'm really into strategy games. Conquest is just another strategy game. It really scratches an itch, because I do like building the minis, I like painting the minis, I like, doing all this stuff. It looks cool, feels cool, I like it. And Conquest being able to scratch that strategic itch is very good from me to it. As it makes me want to improve, it makes me want to play the game, and I'm always finding like something more to learn or discover in Conquest as I play to get better. Like initially, a lot of players are just gonna bring the regiments on. They might do some weird thing. Like usually, a lot of new players will try and deck out a character to duel and be really good at dueling, and then they discover that like dueling isn't really a huge thing. With the update, I don't know if dueling is going to be a huge thing, to be honest, like still, but it is now more relevant. And I wouldn't be surprised if people took more dueling stuff, but you can usually tell, like, when someone puts 200 points into a dueling character, they're kind of like, that could have easily been a regiment and a half right there. I think you need to pick a different choices. Like there's, people will start doing that. Another thing people will do is that they will just kind of run stuff forward. That's a really big one, I find. Like, and I've noticed it, in myself early on, but I had some play and counterplay. But when you start running your stuff forward and start rotating your regiments about 2, maybe 3 inches, so that when something charges you, you can expose their flank for another thing in your army. It just makes you better at the game, because now it's a little advantage that you're exploiting, and that's a lot of it is just exploiting little advantages like that over and over and over again. The consistency. As a war gamer, when you're trying to win, you want to reduce your randomness and increase your opponent's randomness. Some games are better doing that than others. Blood Bowl is a fantastic example of a game that really fucks with you. I have never physically played Blood Bowl, but I have played Blood Bowl on the computer a bunch. I played ogres with like the snotlings and the ogres, and sometimes your ogre would just bone out. Sometimes your ogre would just punch a guy or, fail their block, whatever, rolled 2 dice. Oh, got both skulls. Like, great. That's a down. And then sometimes your ogre would pick up the ball. And when your ogre picked up the ball, no one could get you. But now you just had to get the ogre to the ends, like to your opponent's zone to score. that was a fun thing to do, and I really enjoyed games like that. So yeah, there's a lot going for this game was what I really like. And there was a part when I was playing Conquest. I'm just gonna have some coffee really quick. There we go. So yeah, there was a point when I was playing Conquest where I knew there was something deeper in this game. It was weird. Like I was playing it, I was doing well, but I knew I wasn't like amazing or super good at it. I knew I could improve. There were people doing better stuff out there, doing crazier builds, had better strategies and tactics, knew how to deal with stuff. And I was like, there's something more here, and I'm hitting that wall. And it's another thing as you grow as a player, I always kind of find is that you're going to hit a wall eventually. You're going to think, there's no way I can defeat this. This is the end of like the line or whatever. And this is where I also put paint in an area that I don't need paint. Get out of there. Come on, do it. Good enough. Okay, cool. So yeah, you're hitting this wall, and it's kind of weird. So you hit this wall, and you're just kind of like, well, I'm doing stuff, and it gets into a thing with learning. And one of my buddies is a teacher, and he kind of talks about this, and he's actually a music teacher, and he teaches math as well. So he's got I think he's a major in music and a minor in math, but he was kind of telling me about this because he's also a big war gamer. He's moved to 40K right now. And he's kind of talking about when you are doing well in a thing and you hit a wall, you basically need to keep going, keep pushing, and you're on I wouldn't say on a verge, but you're going to be hitting another explosion of growth. Because when you start with a game or something, or anything you do, this works with any hobby, you really absorb a lot of information about it. Like, I don't know, I could use work as an example, but I don't think anyone wants to hear me talk about surveying and all that stuff right now. If you want to hear about that, you can you can DM me in Bonktable Discord, and I can talk about survey forever. I have forgotten more about survey than most people know about survey. That's my answer for that one. But you will be doing your thing, and you will be practicing, doing well, and then you'll hit this roadblock, and you're kind of on the end of an explosion of growth because you are solidifying what you've already learned. And once you break through, you will understand more and absorb in another thing of growth. And it kind of goes in these weird ladders, and you kind of bell curve out for a bit of non-growth, but you're like, I'm not getting anywhere, but you actually are. You're just not seeing the results yet, kind of thing. And so I was like that for a while when I was playing Conquest. I want to say about not a couple, but like maybe like 6 months ago or something, where I was kind of like, I wasn't really getting anywhere. I didn't know really where I was going to go with it. I kind of felt like Conquest maybe have stalled out itself, like the system itself, like this was the limit of growth that was in the system. And that's another thing. Like some games might just have like this is the pick. Like these are the meta picks, this is how it runs, these are your numbers. Like chess is a solved game. Another board game I play a lot of is like Root. That one's, I wouldn't say it's solved because I don't play it enough to be like, it's solved, or, follow it enough online to be like, it's solved. But there are some very strong key strategies in there that people play and use and go with that are pretty good. So I don't know. I don't want to say it's like getting close to solve. Root is a very fun game. I would, if I could get enough people to play Root, consistently. I would do a whole Root podcast but yeah, Root's a good game. However, with Conquest, I kind of felt like this was it. You're like, I play 100 Kingdoms. 100 Kingdoms, all its strengths come from list building. It's really funny. Like, you're not doing anything insane on the table like Quadroon. You're not becoming a fortress like Dwag. You're not ignoring terrain like Old Dominion. Nords. You're not powering up like Old Dominion. A lot of your strength comes from your diversity of units, that you have a solution for everything in your list, or not your list, in your faction in list building. That is what's going on there. To make it easier for people to understand. So if you know you're going to be going up against a lot of brutes and monsters in a tournament, it might be a good idea to bring on a unit of Hunter Cadre. Simple as that. If you are going up against a lot of infantry that are low defense, I don't know, marksman clones, you get some men-at-arms in there to tie them up. Or did I say marksman clones? I might have. Merc crossbows. Like, you have a lot of options to pick from. But once you're on the table, one of the big key things you're going to be doing is movement and positioning, what I talk about a lot, and it's true. Like, majority of the game, you can win just by out-moving and out-positioning your opponent with whatever list you have. As I've played more games, it really shows that a better skilled player will beat another player even if they have some uber tier list. It has shown. The only time I beat Ben is with a list that I was well practiced in, horses, versus a list that was arguably at the bottom of the game, but was the Fallen Divinity. And it took me 3 hours to outthink him. I want you to realize that. Like, a lot of people are done a game in about 2.5. It took me 3 hours of like mind-numbing, agonizing pain and tactical thought to outthink a guy who was playing the worst kind of faction. And, you know, some Old Dominion players are going to come on here like, Old Dominion's not the worst. It was not very good. It has gone a lot better since the update. I want to give them a huge kudos for that update. Like, Parabellum, Old Dominion players, like, you have a lot going for you right now, by the way. Like, there's a lot going on. I do got to get some Old Dominion games in because I think that's going to be a matchup. If I'm not practiced for, I am going to lose. And there's a lot going for it. But back before beginning of January, there really wasn't for Old Dominion. So yeah, I do know that Old Dominion got third at CanCon with a Fallen Divinity list, but like, and I also know that guy's been playing Fallen Divinity since this came out, and if that's the best you're getting is third with a guy who only plays Fallen Divinity for like the past 2 years, like, damn. I want to say great job on him, but damn, the faction might need a little something. That's what I'm saying. Don't eat me. I still got to paint faces today. There's my hot take. Remember, this is a specific Mass Cast Ramble Pass while I slap some shit on bases. So yeah. God damn it, there's more paint on my hand than on the base. Who did this? Yeah. So it's really weird. You kind of hit this part where you're like, I'm not seeing improvement. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Play the game more. Analyze what you did. Talk to your opponent at the end of the game. Like, doing stuff like that, and you will see a result. You will come out of that, I don't want to say hole, but place where it's not working out very well for yourself because you feel like you're not growing, you're losing games over and over again. You're kind of like, oh, I'm a good player, I should kind of beat this. Like, keep playing the game, talk to your opponent, figure out what you could do. Take some photos. Like, if you're ever watching the battle reports, like, it's all photo based, and I can figure out what I did wrong, when I lost. Even in games that I win, I still kind of every once in a while find stuff that it's like, well, this is very obviously a mistake. Like, usually in every game I win, there's usually one little thing I could have done better. Easy. And it's stuff like that you will eventually hit a point where you grow. Losing helps you grow because you did something wrong to lose. The game is not so unbalanced towards one faction or one build that you cannot overcome it with what you have in your faction. A more skilled player than you will beat you, though. And the only way to get better as a skilled player is to lose, analyze, redo, reassess. That's probably a better word. Let's say reassess what you're doing and what could lead you to victory. So, at one point, tying this all back, and I don't even know how long I've been talking for, I didn't think there was much growth. Like, I was hitting this wall. Like, I was winning games, but it was kind of like, I don't think there's much more in Conquest than this. Then I played Ben and Carl. Played some really good players who win or get second, Carl, at major events. You watch their game, it's freaking crazy. I think it's LVO round 3. See how good these guys really are. And got picked apart in a couple of them, but I learned a lot. And I started to notice stuff that they were doing. And then I started taking that and using against my locals. And wins became a hell of a lot easier. I was starting to grow and learn again. I was looking for these things, these little tricks, what you can do with some regiments. Why fluid formation is probably the second best rule in the entire game. Like, shit like that. Like, really securing those, like, why that is. And it kind of went from there. And that's one of the really big things I like about Conquest is that there's always more. And it doesn't necessarily have to be more in your favor either. There can be more for your opponent. Like, new regiments come out. New faction just came out. Sorcerer Kings came out. People have been kind of talking, looking at them. I don't think they actually release until April. Probably be not my best bet, but like what I think they are coming out in. So I hopefully won't see them at Adepticon because I'm actually not going to... practice for them. So if for some reason Sorcerer Kings is out at Adepticon, someone buys and paints an entire 2,000 point army off of 4 regiments and then wins the whole thing, then you know what, that's on me. I should have saw that coming, and if that's just going to be a thing where I can make Adepticon, I just got to go play the new faction so I'm not blindsided. But I don't believe that's happening because I don't believe they come out until April. There might be like a box you can get, like the starter box. I don't think someone's going to buy like 2 or 3 of those starter boxes and do that. Because I know City States was out a couple months before Adepticon, so you could, do it actually. Like, get your practice games in, knew what the rules were, get your models all painted, get ready for it. Simple as that. So yeah. I do like the depth of strategy and skill in this game that you can develop and learn as you play. There's a lot going for it. Some of it doesn't look visible on the surface. Like, it's hidden under losses in playing the game. It's hidden under learning and developing yourself as a player. And really, it just comes down to play the game. Like, sometimes I get asked, like, what's the best way to practice? I'm like, play the game. Like, to be honest, it's just... How much are you practicing? Like, if someone was said to me, hey, I want to go to Adepticon and I want to place 3rd. I'm like, well, you can't place, or 1st or 3rd, because you can't place 2nd because Carl's going to win it. Everyone knows that. Carl's getting 2nd. Just accept your fate already. I would say you need to practice... A really good tool is TTS. You play against yourself, and you try and figure out what people are playing maybe ahead of time, so you can actually play that. But try and figure out what the big builds are. So go back to Adepticon, or not Adepticon, sorry. Go back to the previous tournament, grab the top 10 lists, and see what they are, and play your list into those. And what you will be learning is you will be learning your list. You'll be learning your list into them. And you may not play it well, like your opponent's list, into yourself in Tabletop Simulator. But the big thing you're going to be taking away is you're going to be taking away the knowledge of what your opponent can do and what they have available to them. That is key information on how to deal with your opponent's stuff is knowing what it is. A lot of players, I find, including myself, don't know what their opponent's doing. Like, I review lists before battle reports, but a lot of times, Spire's players, they're like, I do these 2 billion things, and I'm like, sure. I can't be fucking bothered. I only have, like, a week off. I just want to play the game. And I'm playing 100 Kingdoms, so I'm not really, like, doing any crazy tricks or anything. I'm really just out positioning you. That's all I'm doing to win. So yeah, like, learning what your opponent's rules do is very helpful. Learning what yours rules do is also very helpful, because not having to look back at your own rules helps a ton. For 100k, 4 is a magic number, because a lot of things are 4. 4 attacks, 4 wounds, 4 health. Like, 4 is just the 100k number, you baby, you know. Gotta move over some of these trays. Oh, messing it up. Sweet. Get in there. Stop. You're just sitting on a piece of cardboard. Come on. I have this whole, like, I got like 30 stands on this piece of cardboard, so they don't. It's a plastic fold-out table. Like, why do I care? I could do it there, but it's not going to be nice. But I'm slowly just kind of shuffling all the trays around to open up room so that I can paint more trays. And by paint, I mean put the texture paint on after I've now done basing these things. I don't fucking know. Like, it's gonna look like cracked lava after a while, kind of, sort of, weirdly. That's it. That's the goal. What was I talking about? Yeah, this is gonna happen where I just ramble off to do something else. I don't really care. It's kind of however long this takes me to do is however long I am chatting about random crap. So yeah, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, tournaments, practice, TTS, learning what your stuff. So I found while learning. Come here, Trey. There we go. Come on, you can do it. There we go. So I found while learning that you need to understand what your stuff does. You need to understand what your opponent's stuff does. You need to understand what the scenario does. And then you need to understand the game itself. That's kind of the key learning points. Knowing what your things do, just off the top of your head, really good. Knowing your opponent's list does, off the top of your head, really good. It's less time looking stuff up, and it's more time trying to figure out a strategy to win. Knowing what the scenario is, really good. Less time looking it up, more time playing your strategy to win. Like, all my battle reports, I talk about, like, what you kind of want to do to win the scenario. And you can see me do it to an extent, roughly. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. In the battle reports. Like, I have strategies for every scenario. How they play, how they end up playing, what people kind of end up doing. What are people looking for? I analyze the table, because that's the next part, because then it's the game itself. Like, what's going on at the table? How's the train set up? Where are my opponent's scoring regiments? Where would they be going first? What's easy for my opponent's score? What's harder for my opponent's score? What's easy for me to score? What's hard for me to score? Like, allows you to allocate resources, i.e. the regiments in your army, towards those things. Conquest is 100% won on score. So you can table your opponent, but if you have not scored a single point and they have won above you, they win. So always look at scenario, always look at ways to score, prevent your opponent from scoring. Like the last battle report I just recorded earlier today, I literally just there was a moment where I put enough stuff in my opponent's zones to prevent him from scoring, and then kind of like it allowed me to carry forward to get more points. Sweet, good on me. I'll take it. And it's advantages like that, what you're looking for. And it's little stuff that lead to big things. There are times where a big thing happens what changed the course of the game. Like, I always find it funny when people are like, oh, I need to win supremacy, and then I can win the game, and then they lose supremacy, and then they lose. And it's like, okay, but why? Like, what were all the previous choices from the start of the game to now that led you to this point where you needed to win a supremacy? I plan, when I play the game, to lose all my supremacies. It's nice to win because, you get to go first and maybe do some damage before anything happens. But if you are planning to win a supremacy that matters that much, there's something else you could have done in the game up until that point to help you out immensely. That's positioning to other spots, setting up traps, overlaying threats and charges, threatening your opponent with range stuff so that they are forced to come closer. There's all these different things. Like, it isn't just a straight up fight. And if you are doing straight up fights, look into ways to set up traps and counter charges and so on, so that even if you lose supremacy and someone charges in and, maybe it kills your hammer that was right up front, you have something else available to bog down, kill, do whatever you need to do to stop that. There are times where I will run stuff so that if they charge one of my things, another thing charges them. Tons of times. Always looking for that stuff. There are times where I'm baiting a player to come and get me on one side or flank, where I want them to come and charge my weaker thing that I'm okay giving up, so that my stronger thing hanging out behind it can go kill the thing that killed, that thing. Like, I don't know if that makes any sense, but like, opponent charges me with hammer regiment, kills my sacrificial regiment, my hammer kills their hammer, I'm up. Cool. It's peace trading. Peace trading! Yeah, people need to learn how to peace trade. I guess I'm going to Rant Town now, where I just talk about the game itself. Like, peace trading is a key part of the game. If you're not peace trading, you're losing stuff. Seems kind of obvious, but maybe it just needs to be said, because sometimes, like, there's people who are like, hey, I don't understand this. Why? Like, you listen to stuff, you want to hear Conquest content because you enjoy the game yourself and so on. Like, I'm not here to, like, not say spill the beans, but, like, enjoy the game. That's really it. Like, I've kind of stayed a while, enjoy the game. There's a lot going for it and going on for it, and it really I don't want to say recreates, but it's a fancy game with little war dollies. Like, I'm not going to get angry over the fancy game of little war dollies. So, yeah, there's a lot more going on the game than just, like, straight up run guys forward to die in a bar fight in the middle of the table. If you're doing that and you're winning, great. If you're doing that and you're losing, guess what? It's also great because you get to learn. You get to try and figure out and develop strategies to handle that. And depending on how you do, you'll show improvement or not. And I don't mean that negatively. I mean that positively. Like, getting better at the game, if that's your goal, is a thing. I know some players. Get some water in me because I'm getting thirsty, talking a lot. There we go. There we go. Sweet. Some players I know just want to run minis forward and, I guess, get into a fight, die, clash, bam, 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 end up dead. And that's A-okay. If you want to do that, sure. Like, Beer and Pretzels game, go right ahead. You can do that with any miniatures game. You can do that with any game, really. Like, there are times I have played Root where I know I am being targeted by my friends because they're like, you're a good Root player. I'm like, oh, I understand how to play the game and the strategies, and I will go out of my way to play Marquis the Cat, and my only goal is to cut out a little corner of the map, what is my kingdom, and see how long that lasts before somebody with the Vagabond comes by and ruins all my dreams. to be honest, like, and I'll slowly grow my kingdom through the game. I'm not planning to win. I'm just planning to have a little, like, workshop empire with a bunch of cats, because that's the game I want to play. And I know I'm being targeted by my friends because they're like, we're not going to let them win again. I'm like, guys, come on, I just want to play the game. Oh, I'm getting ganged up on. Oh, so I'll do that for a while, and then people kind of get over it. They'll be like, oh, Masters is strong. He hasn't won the game in forever. And I'm like, yep. And then I'll swap from Marquis the Cat to someone else. I have never won the game as Marquis the Cat, but I love Marquis the Cat. So yeah, that's another thing. Like, some players have goals like that. There are sometimes I have goals where I want to see how far a dumb strategy goes. I wanted to see if build was even viable. So one of them, I believe, was the line with the entire shooting list. That list is now no longer viable because it's all lights and characters don't score. So yeah, I'm gonna have to dump some of the shooty for some of the go scorey. That's the best way to put it. So yeah, so that's changed. It's good. That needed to happen. My God. And I don't think that'll ever be an actual issue for people who, like, if someone's playing an all gun list, it's like you're probably getting medium range units. They're restricted. They're super expensive. You're not gonna have a ton running around the table, and someone can punch through and get something done. It happens. While 100k shooting, the scoring adjustments now that characters don't score, that Dark Horse jank list has been neutered. Thank God, because I know someone would see that and eventually do it at a local event, and people would start losing their minds. I did it because I thought it was super funny, and I'm glad that it has been shown off to people because it is super funny. Yeah, and that's the thing. People like jank. I like jank. There's the gunline list. Get it. 63 shots, 68 shots, something like that. It was really high, and there was a lot of dudes. So yeah, I don't know. You get out of the game what you want is another one. I want out of the game. I want to get good at it, and I want to be competent at it, can play the game, have a really good match, enjoy myself. Always looking to improve. Like, I play chess on my phone while I'm waiting for, like, sitting in line at the DMV, waiting on my break at work, stuff like that. I'm not very good at it, but I'm off of the easy opponent because I was winning too much, and now I'm on the second hard opponent, or the second easiest opponent. But I'm still getting better at it. Do I look into any chess stuff? No, but for me, chess is a beer and pretzels casual game. Conquest, I want a little more, so I talk to people online. I do the podcast. I review my battle reports. I'm always looking for, like, what can I do to get better, and that's kind of thing. Maybe I'll call this episode what to do to get better, and I don't know, who the fuck cares. But yeah, that's the thing. You take out of the game how much you want to put in. So if you're not putting in a whole ton, if you're not analyzing your stuff, you're not going to get a whole bunch out, and so on. Like, it's a fair assessment. There's a ton of guys on the Bonktable Discord who will pop in, want to get better, talk to them, pop in, want to watch how to get better, and by watch I mean lurk. You want to lurk how to get better? Go right ahead. I don't care. It's a free port, baby. You can say whatever you want. Also you can swear in it. There's no profanity filter, so you can swear all you want in it. It's really funny whenever the profanity filter kicks off in the international Discord, and I'm like, damn it, I said shit, and I really forgot that's on the profanity filter. Yeah. Learning growth is pretty good. Is there anything else I like about the game? Talked about the minis, talked about that. For now, I want to say that's that. Yeah. I don't know how long this went for, but I think that's acceptable. So, if you like this style of content where I paint bases and get paint on my hands again, and just kind of talk about Conquest, like nothing in specific, nothing in general, just kind of see where I go about it. Whatever I say, and if you're interested in that, I don't know, just let me know. Bonktable Discord, plug that thing again for the 30th millionth time. What else? YouTube, this is probably on YouTube. You can drop in the comments, stuff like that. Let me know if there's something specific you want me to ramble on. Like, maybe I'll do these more specific on like 100k. Give a shout out to Apex Chinchilla for his Chanting Conquest stuff, and I'll just do Marching 100k, or as Hannah, Queen of 100k, will say it, like Brave Humans with Sticks. I can talk about that I think that one's not bad. Just have a 100K focused one. I really like 100K. I feel good enough where I can provide good feedback about 100K. I don't know. There's like 40 something battle reports where all of them but one are 100K versus everybody else. I should get. Oh my god. So Nicolette Nuytten is the wonderful lady who does the artwork on Bonktable. So all those like the conning gears sitting on the watermelon throne, the guy in the logo, like the Steel Legion guy with the sword. What else? Avatar. The most recent one, as of recording, is a Fallen Divinity. So hopefully that thing will pop up in a battle report at some point. You'll find out. She does them all. She's fantastic. So now I'm thinking, maybe I'll do Bonktable versus the World, like Scott Pilgrim. That'll be fun. There's stuff like that in my head where I want to do like a Crimson Tower, doing an Akira slide or approaching the Akira bike, but it's a horse. Because I also like jokes like that. Like I'm just a jokester who I'm an okay funny guy. I feel I'm okay funny. I sometimes get jokes right, most of the time not. Where it's just I like to have fun. I also like cool art, and so have a local friend who will make me art for money, and she does get paid. Always pay your artist. Don't steal art. People don't like that. As for AI art, as long as the AI art computer team developers are paying for a license to get actual art into the system. So like they go up to an artist and say, hey, we want to license your art so that the AI art can mimic that. And they agree and pay for it, and money is given to the actual artist that the AI is creating from. I don't really have a problem with it. And if they're not, that's where the stealing really comes in, because you're not paying for that. Like, I'm not a very good artist. I can paint minis acceptably. Enough where people are like, oh, sweet, that looks cool. I'm like, thank you. That is all I wanted. So, yeah. Let me smear some black on this, and then I might close this out. Am I going to edit all this? Nope. You're going to get me stopping to drink and think all the time. This is called a ramble. I don't edit shit. Editing's for losers. All right. Yep, there we go. Hope everyone has a good one. Bye.